The absolute biggest lie you are being told about your low-carb diet is that if a food doesn't have sugar, it cannot spike your insulin. Right now, millions of people who are trying to lose weight, reverse insulin resistance, and fix their metabolism are completely stalling out, or worse, damaging their health because they are eating 3 specific everyday foods that are masterfully disguised as keto-friendly. These foods are actively deceiving your metabolism, forcing your liver to store fat, and keeping your blood sugar trapped on a hidden roller coaster. If you have been doing everything right and your weight loss has completely stalled, or if you still struggle with intense brain fog and low energy despite cutting out the sugar, you are almost certainly consuming at least one of these 3 items every single day. What we are covering today is the missing piece to your metabolic puzzle, and the 3rd food on this list is something so universally accepted as a health food that it will completely shock you. Before we pull back the curtain on these 3 deceptive items, do this right now before you forget. Type the word insulin down in the comments below so your brain actively locks this information in and prepares to apply it. Go ahead and hit that like button to help protect others from these hidden dietary traps, and subscribe to Metabolic Health Lab right now. By joining this community, you are joining thousands of individuals who are taking back control of their metabolic health with real, fluff-free science, and you will ensure you never miss a simple metabolic fix. Let's dive straight into the mechanics of how a food actually deceives your body. When you switch to a low-carb lifestyle, your primary objective is to lower a single dominant hormone, insulin. Insulin is the ultimate gatekeeper of fat burning. When insulin levels are high, the cellular gates are locked, and it is physiologically impossible for your body to tap into your fat stores for fuel. When insulin drops, your body finally enters a state of lipolysis, which is just the technical term for breaking down fat to use as energy. The entire low-carb movement is built on the premise that avoiding carbohydrates keeps insulin low. But here is what most people completely miss. Your metabolism is far more complex than a simple carbohydrate calculator, and certain ingredients can trigger massive hormone spikes through completely different biological pathways without ever showing up as a high carb count on a nutrition label. This brings us directly to the first major everyday food deceiving you on your low-carb journey. Modified food starches and synthetic fibers, most notably something called soluble corn fiber, tapioca fiber, or isomalto-oligosaccharides, frequently abbreviated as IMOs. If you walk down the health food aisle or browse an online store for low-carb snacks, you will see a massive array of protein bars, keto cookies, sugar-free chocolates, and low-carb tortillas. The nutrition labels on these products look absolutely beautiful. They boast 20 grams of total carbohydrates, but contrast that with 15 grams of dietary fiber, leaving you with a net carb count of just 5 grams. On paper, this looks like a metabolic miracle. You think you can eat these treats all day long without impacting your progress. But your liver and your pancreas read a completely different story than the one printed on the package. For years, manufacturers used IMOs to create these low-carb treats. They claimed it was a prebiotic fiber that passed right through your digestive tract without being absorbed. However, independent metabolic testing eventually revealed something shocking. These synthetic fibers behave almost identically to pure maltodextrin in the human body. Maltodextrin has a glycemic index that can range anywhere from 85 to 105. To put that into perspective, ordinary table sugar has a glycemic index of around 65. This means these so-called healthy fibers can actually spike your blood sugar and your insulin significantly faster and higher than if you had just eaten a spoonful of white sugar. When the scientific community caught on to this, many manufacturers quietly shifted away from IMOs and replaced them with soluble corn fiber or modified tapioca starch, claiming these new ingredients were the real deal. But the underlying issue remains exactly the same. These are highly processed, industrially manipulated starches. Your digestive enzymes break them down far more rapidly than the food industry wants to admit. When you consume a low-carb bar loaded with these synthetic fibers, you might check your blood sugar 30 minutes later and see only a minor rise, leading you to believe you are perfectly safe. But what you are not measuring is the hidden surge of insulin required to keep that blood sugar reading stable. Your pancreas is working overtime, pumping out insulin to clear the glucose from your bloodstream. If this concept of hidden glycemic spikes is completely new to you, or if you have noticed your own weight loss stall after eating these keto packaged snacks, drop a yes in the comments right now so I know we are on the right track. This constant, invisible elevation of insulin keeps you trapped in a state of insulin resistance, completely halting fat burning while leaving you wondering why you aren't seeing results. Furthermore, these synthetic fibers are highly disruptive to your delicate gut microbiome. Because they are not natural intact plant fibers, your gut bacteria ferment them at an unnatural pace, which frequently leads to massive bloating, gas, and systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation itself triggers the release of cortisol, your primary stress hormone, which directly signals your liver to release stored glucose into your blood, creating yet another indirect spike in insulin. You are essentially paying a premium price for products that are quietly kicking you out of fat-burning mode under the guise of health. And this is where things get even more serious because the deception doesn't stop at processed snack bars. It extends directly into the condiments and sauces you use to flavor your real whole foods every single day. Think about your sugar-free salad dressings, your low-carb barbecue sauces, and your keto-approved ketchups. When companies remove sugar from these products to cater to the low-carb market, they have to replace the bulk, the texture, and the mouthfeel that sugar naturally provides. How do they achieve this? They turn to thickeners, emulsifiers, and chemically altered starches like modified food starch, xanthan gum, guar gum, and carboxymethyl cellulose. While some of these gums are technically non-glycemic, modified food starch is an entirely different story. It is frequently derived from corn, wheat, or potato, and it undergoes intense chemical processing to ensure it remains stable under high heat and long shelf lives. Even though it is used in seemingly small amounts per serving, those servings add up rapidly over the course of a day. A splash of dressing on your salad at lunch, a dollop of low-carb sauce on your meat at dinner, and a sugar-free marinade used during meal prep can easily combine to deliver a substantial dose of hidden, fast-acting carbohydrates that completely blunts your body's ability to produce ketones. You think you are eating a clean, low-carb meal, but your body is treating it like a slow-drip carbohydrate infusion. What happens next is the part nobody talks about, and it involves the second everyday food that is actively deceiving you. Commercial ultra-pasteurized, reduced-fat liquid dairy products and dairy alternatives, specifically heavy creams and nut milks that contain hidden protein, concentrates, and stabilizers. Many people on a low-carb diet absolutely love dairy. They put heavy whipping cream in their morning coffee, they use cream cheese in their recipes, and they consume unsweetened almond or oat milk as a beverage base. It seems perfectly safe because the sugar content is listed as 0 or 1 gram, but there is a massive difference between traditional, farm-fresh dairy and the highly processed, ultra-pasteurized liquids sitting on modern grocery store shelves. Let's look closely at what happens during ultra-high temperature pasteurization, often called UHT. This process heats the liquid to an extreme temperature for a few seconds to destroy bacteria and extend the shelf life for months. While this is great for commercial shipping, that intense heat denatures the delicate proteins found in dairy, making them highly inflammatory to your digestive tract. When a protein is denatured and structural integrity is lost, your immune system can recognize it as a foreign invader, creating localized inflammation in your gut lining. This gut irritation compromises your intestinal barrier, allowing microparticles to pass into your bloodstream, a condition often referred to as leaky gut. Once these particles enter the bloodstream, they trigger a systemic immune response, which, as we established earlier, drives up cortisol and forces your body to hold onto fat. But the hidden danger runs even deeper than protein denaturation. When fat is stripped away from dairy to make reduced fat products, or when nut milks are manufactured to mimic the creaminess of real milk, the liquid becomes watery and unappealing. To fix this, manufacturers add whey protein concentrate or milk protein isolate to manipulate the texture and boost the protein metrics on the label. On a low-carb diet, you might think extra protein is a great thing. But consuming highly processed, isolated liquid proteins in the absence of their natural fats triggers a rapid biological process known as gluconeogenesis. This is the mechanism by which your liver converts excess amino acids directly into glucose. Because liquid protein isolates are absorbed by your digestive tract with lightning speed, they cause a sudden, sharp influx of amino acids to the liver. The liver cannot utilize all of these amino acids for structural repair at once, so it immediately converts the surplus into glucose. This causes a subsequent rise in insulin, completely sabotaging your fat-burning efforts. If you have been adding generous pours of commercial cream or protein-fortified nut milks to your morning coffee, and noticing that your morning energy crashes an hour later, you are experiencing the direct results of this hidden metabolic spike. If this explanation makes sense and you're realizing how these sneaky ingredients find their way into your daily routine, take a quick second to hit that like button to help this video reach more people who are stuck in the exact same cycle. Now, let's step up the intensity and move toward the third everyday food on our list, which is arguably the single most deceptive item of all because it is heavily marketed as the ultimate superfood for health, longevity, and weight loss. I'm talking about commercial pasteurized flavored liquid egg whites sold in cartons. On paper, liquid egg whites appear to be the holy grail of low-carb dieting. They are pure protein, zero carbohydrates, and zero fat. Fitness influencers and health advocates everywhere recommend scrambling them up, baking them into low-carb breads, or adding them to smoothies to get clean protein without any extra calories or fats. But when you isolate the egg white from the yolk and subject it to commercial pasteurization, you are creating a recipe for severe metabolic and nutritional dysfunction. First, we must look at the structural biology of an egg. Nature designed the egg as a complete, perfectly balanced, nutritional powerhouse. But that balance exists entirely in the synergy between the white and the yolk. The egg white contains a protein called avidin. In its raw or partially altered state, avidin binds incredibly strongly to biotin, which is vitamin B7. Biotin is an absolute coenzyme necessity for fatty acid metabolism, glucose production, and cellular energy creation. When you consume isolated egg whites that have been commercially processed, the avidin can remain highly active and bind to the biotin in your digestive tract, making it completely unavailable for your body to absorb. A chronic shortage of bioavailable biotin directly slows down your cellular metabolism, making it significantly harder for your cells to convert stored fat into usable ATP, which is cellular energy. You end up feeling perpetually exhausted, your hair and skin suffer, and your fat loss grinds to a screeching halt. But the metabolic deception goes even further. When you consume pure protein in a liquid, isolated form without any accompanying fat, you completely alter the hormonal signals in your gut. In nature, dense protein sources always come packaged with natural fats. Think of a wild-caught fish, a marbled steak, or a whole egg yolk. When fat and protein enter your stomach together, they trigger the release of a crucial hormone called cholecystokinin, or CCK, along with peptide YY or PYY. These hormones are responsible for sending powerful, unmistakable satiety signals directly to your brain, telling your nervous system that you are completely full, satisfied, and nourished. This turns off your hunger drives and allows your body to rest and burn fat smoothly. When you consume isolated liquid egg whites, there is absolutely zero fat to trigger CCK or PYY. The pure liquid protein empties from your stomach almost instantly and hits your small intestine at a rapid rate. This triggers an immediate, massive release of insulin. Many people believe that only carbohydrates stimulate insulin, but this is a dangerous metabolic misconception. Pure, isolated, fast-digesting proteins are highly insulinotropic, meaning they stimulate the pancreas to secrete large amounts of insulin to assist with amino acid uptake. Because there is no fat to slow down digestion and no fat to stimulate satisfaction hormones, you get a sharp spike in insulin without any of the long-term satiety. Within an hour of eating a large volume of egg whites, your insulin levels are elevated, your blood sugar drops as a consequence, and your brain receives a starvation signal. You find yourself fighting intense, uncontrollable cravings for carbs and sweets, completely undermining your willpower and your low-carb lifestyle. But here is what most people completely miss when they look at their daily food choices. They focus entirely on macronutrients, the grams of carbs, fats, and proteins, while completely ignoring the chemical residues that are riding shotgun on those foods. This is particularly true for commercial egg whites and conventional low-carb items. The chickens that produce these conventional eggs are raised in massive industrial facilities and fed a continuous diet of genetically modified corn and soy. This feed is heavily sprayed with an herbicide called glyphosate. Glyphosate doesn't just vanish, it accumulates in the tissues and the products of the animals that consume it. When you consume conventional liquid egg whites or conventional dairy products, you are ingesting secondary residues of glyphosate. This herbicide acts as a potent, broad-spectrum antibiotic in your digestive tract. It selectively targets and destroys your beneficial gut microbes, particularly the species that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Butyrate is a critical molecule that directly improves insulin sensitivity and protects your gut lining from inflammation. By systematically wiping out these beneficial bacteria, you are unknowingly driving up your baseline level of insulin resistance every single day, making your body increasingly resistant to fat loss no matter how low you keep your carb count. If you are finding this deep dive into cellular metabolism and hidden triggers valuable, and you want to ensure you always have access to these simple, straightforward health fixes, take a brief moment right now to subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications. It takes 2 seconds, and it keeps you armed with the cutting-edge information you need to protect your health. So, how do we navigate this minefield of deception and completely reclaim our metabolic momentum? The solution is not to restrict your calories further or fight your cravings with sheer willpower. The solution is to transition entirely away from industrially manipulated, low-carb duplicates and return to the foundational principles of real, structurally intact, biologically appropriate food. Let's break down exactly how to replace these 3 deceptive foods with metabolic powerhouses that actively heal your insulin sensitivity. Instead of relying on low-carb snack bars and processed tortillas packed with modified food starches and synthetic fibers, you must shift your focus toward whole food fats and natural intact fibers. If you need a quick portable source of energy, look toward raw, sprouted macadamia nuts, pecans, or walnuts. These nuts contain real, natural, structural fibers that break down slowly in your colon, converting into beneficial short-chain fatty acids without causing even a ripple in your blood sugar or insulin levels. They are packed with healthy oleic and palmitoleic acids that satisfy your brain's hunger centers for hours on end, keeping your metabolism smoothly locked in fat-burning mode. When it comes to the second deceptive food, processed commercial cream and stabilized nut milks, the upgrade is simple yet profoundly effective. Replace them with organic, grass-fed, cultured butter, or traditional, non-homogenized organic heavy cream that contains exactly 1 ingredient on the label, pasteurized cream. Better yet, embrace high-quality, cold-pressed virgin coconut oil or pure MCT oil for your morning beverages. MCT oil contains medium-chain triglycerides, which bypass the normal path of fat digestion entirely. They travel straight to your liver, where they are immediately converted into clean, high-energy ketones. These ketones cross the blood-brain barrier within minutes, providing your brain with an instant wave of mental clarity and completely crushing your morning appetite without stimulating a single drop of insulin. Finally, let's completely fix the egg dilemma. Throw away the cardboard cartons of isolated liquid egg whites and start consuming the entire magnificent whole egg. Seek out true pasture-raised eggs from a local farm where the chickens spend their days foraging in open pastures, eating a natural diet of insects, bugs, and green grass. The yolk of a pasture-raised egg is not a health hazard, it is a dense concentration of metabolic medicine. It contains high levels of choline, an essential nutrient required for healthy liver function and the prevention of fatty liver disease. It is loaded with fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K2, along with the precise healthy fats needed to trigger those critical satiety hormones C, CK, and PYY. When you eat the whole egg, the natural fats perfectly balance the protein, slowing down digestion, preventing a sharp insulin spike, and providing your cells with the complete structural building blocks they need to thrive. Take a moment to look back at your metabolic journey up to this point. If you have been feeling frustrated, tired, or stuck in a relentless plateau, it is highly likely that these industrial low-carb deceptions have been quietly holding you back. You now possess the exact scientific insight needed to identify these hidden traps. Read past the marketing tricks on the packaging and make choices that align perfectly with your body's true biological needs. Your metabolic health is entirely within your control. And by shifting away from these processed imitations and embracing real, unadulterated whole foods, you will unlock the effortless energy, mental clarity, and fat loss you've been working so incredibly hard to achieve. Let's make sure this transformation starts today. Drop a comment below right now, sharing which of these 3 foods surprised you the most, or let the community know what simple switch you are going to make first. If you found this deep metabolic breakdown eye-opening, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone you care about who is currently navigating a low-carb lifestyle. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Metabolic Health Lab right now to stay completely connected to our upcoming health fixes. Your support helps us continue to bring you the truth about your body, your hormones, and your longevity. Keep focusing on real food, protect your insulin, and I will see you in the very next video.